Linet, it seems that we have an epidemic in society today, divorce, which is nothing wrong with it, but unfortunately sometimes we have children involved, and sometimes they become pawns, or sometimes victims of a divorce. How can we handle this or prevent some of the pitfalls of divorce?
Well, first I'd like to start with defining what I mean by abuse. This is a background. Most commonly we think of abuse as physical abuse, but it can be non-physical, it can be psychological or emotional. But the concept that ties together this is an annihilation of you as a person. So I can beat you up, smash your head against the windshield. That's one way of kind of annihilating you as a human being who's capable of maybe making mistakes or having a different opinion. But it can also be done without laying a hand on you, and that is to tell you, for example, that, oh, you're too sensitive, or you don't know what you're thinking about. You don't know what you're talking about. And I'm setting that as a background. And when we get to divorce, divorces can often be brutal, but they can also involve children. Richard Gardner, who is a psychiatrist, coined the term parental alienation syndrome, and what he meant by that was that the custodial parent, because of the authority and the access that the custodial parent has, and of course this is often the mother, but I do want to emphasize that it doesn't have to be only the mother. I don't want to bash mothers on this. But the custodial parent has access to the children and is able to, in effect, brainwash the child.
You mean we actually poison the kid against the other parent?
Well, Shakespeare said, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Again, I don't want to make this gender biased.
It could be either way, we understand
right,
that.
But I'm using Shakespeare because he put it that way. If you leave me, I may want to make you pay. And one of the ways is to use the children. So what is involved with parental alienation is a kind of brainwashing in which the child is given information that may be malicious about the other parent. Now, one of the problems that we face, as all of us as human beings, is that very few of us do original research. For example, I haven't done original research about the Earth being round, but I believe it because I've been told it, and I also have not truly, I don't have intuitive, direct experience that I have a brain even, I have a skull. But I've learned that inside my skull is a brain. To me, it feels like there's a spirit. Okay, I'm leaving some background, or laying some background to the idea that we are very vulnerable to what we hear. So a child who does not have equal access to one parent, say the non-custodial parent, may learn from the custodial parent and may learn a malicious version of what's going on. And this does happen. There are children who will develop in such circumstances very negative opinions about the non-custodial parent. Sometimes it goes so far as to include not only painful rejection of the non-custodial parent, but sometimes a refusal to see the child, or a refusal, for the child, by the child to see the parent. The goal in this is to punish the non-custodial parent, possibly for leaving the other parent. But I want to broaden this. As I said a moment ago, I don't want to limit this to mothers, because fathers can do it too. And I also don't want to limit it just to what they do to children, because they do it to each other. The features of what I'm going to redefine as the malicious divorce syndrome, it's a modification of what Gardner called the malicious, or the parental alienation syndrome, is that If you are motivated to do so, you can tell stories. You can tell them to your children. You can tell them to people who are not your children. And as this grows, as there's a kind of a pseudo-community which is hearing stories, the victim of this can become a pariah. Sometimes the victim has no knowledge even of the lies or the negative stories that are being told, and has no way to even counter them because he or she doesn't know about them. There was an interesting scientific, and this is not going to be boring science to those of you listening, just posted in the British Journal of Psychiatry, I believe, about brain scans done with abusers. I like to put it this way. There are people who look like human beings. They know how to act like human beings. And I'll use Adolf Hitler as an example. Adolf Hitler hid the concentration camps. Not because he believed it was bad or wrong. He just knew how to act. He knew that the world would condemn it. So there are people that I'm going to, for a moment, call aliens, who are not human the way most of us think human beings are. In other words, they're capable of lying. And the study that I was about to refer to was one in which on brain scans, when they lie, their brain doesn't light up in an area in which other people light up. When ordinary human beings lie, something goes on in a brain scan that doesn't occur in abusive people who are capable of lying. Another aspect of this study was that pictures shown to people, abusers and to people who are not abusers, pictures of people who were happy, people who looked like they had a neutral affect, neutral mood, and people who were distressed. Now, what happened was when the abusive people saw the pictures of people in distress, the brain did not light up in the area that it did in other people. The point I want to make about this is that they are really different. Their brains are different. They may not experience your distress when they hurt you, and that may make them more capable of doing things that another person might not do in a billion years to another person. Destroy someone. That's why I call them aliens. They're among us. They are human beings, but they really are different. One of the problems that we have is we often think of them as humans, so we can talk to them, we try to explain, but when it's truly an abuser, explanations, talking don't work. They don't really get what they're doing to you. And if they do understand that they're hurting you, they don't experience it the same way. You deserve it, look what you did to me, and I will take away your children. The goal in terms of the subject of parental alienation of children, the goal is not only to deprive the child of the parent and deprive the parent of the child's time, but to truly deprive the parent of the child's childhood. Sometimes this goes on for years. It is sometimes repaired in adulthood. Sometimes it's never repaired. Sometimes the alienated parent is so hurt over and rejected that the alienated parent gives up, and there is sometimes never a reconciliation. However, I want to say that often there is, but sometimes it's years, and it can be very, very painful. It's hard to believe that a mother or a father who does this would do such a thing to a child. I know of one situation where the father has been rejected for years and years, has never spent a single holiday with his children, and they are now adults. This continues, and he has taken them out of his will. And I just want to make the point, this is not, in this case, not a loving mother, although the children think their mother loves them. This mother has hurt her children.